Elements and Compounds by Emily Jackson and Katie Garopoulos. Period A. Distinguishing elements and compounds. An element is the simplest form of matter that has a unique set of properties. A compound is a substance that contains two or more elements chemically combined in a fixed proportion. Compounds can be broken down into simpler substances by chemical means, but elements cannot. Breaking down compounds. The physical methods that can be used to break down mixtures cannot be used to break down compounds. The methods must involve a chemical change. A chemical change is a change that produces matter with a different composition than the original matter. Heating is commonly used to break down compounds into smaller substances. But heat will not break down water. Water must be broken down with electricity. Properties of compounds. Properties of compounds are generally the opposite of their component elements. When sodium and chloride combine to form sodium chloride, there is a change in both composition and properties.
Distinguishing substances and mixtures. Homogeneous mixtures and substances both appear to contain only one type of matter, making it difficult to determine whether something is a substance or a mixture. You may determine whether something is a mixture or a substance, knowing if there are many types or blends of it, such as milk or gasoline, making them a mixture. If the composition of a material is fixed, then the material is a substance. If the composition of it may vary, then the material is a mixture.
Symbols and formulas. Chemists use chemical symbols to represent elements and chemical formulas to represent compounds. The symbols used today are based on a system developed by a Swedish chemist, Hans Jacob Berzelius, who lived from 1779 to 1848. Each element is represented by one or two-letter chemical symbol. The first letter is always capitalized, and when a second letter is used, it is lowercase. Chemical symbols provide a shorthand way to write the chemical formulas of compounds. Subscripts in chemical formulas tell you how many of each type of element are in the compound. Because a compound has a fixed composition, the formula for a compound is always the same.
The periodic table. All elements are organized in a special table called the periodic table. In the periodic table, arranges the elements in groups based on their properties. The periodic table allows you to compare the properties of an element to those of another element. Each element identified by a symbol placed in a square. The elements listed in order from left to right and top to bottom by atomic number. Each horizontal row is called a period, in which there are 7. Each vertical column is called a group or a family. So to recap, an element is the simplest form of matter. A compound is a substance that contains two or more elements chemically combined, and compounds can be broken down into simpler substances by chemical means, but elements cannot. You can break down compounds by using chemical change, and a chemical change is a change that produces matter with a different composition than the original matter. Compounds are generally the opposite of their component elements. To distinguish substances and mixtures, you can tell that if a composition of a material is fixed, then the material is a substance, while if the composition of a material varies, it is a mixture. You can use the periodic table to find out the elements and compare their properties and their differences. Periodic tables are using the elements' atomic numbers and arranging them by horizontal rows called periods and vertical columns called groups. The symbols and formulas are used to differentiate elements. Chemists use chemical symbols and numbers to represent each element. Each element is represented by a 1 or 2 letter chemical system. And that is elements and compounds.